Okay, cool. I'll start moving. Is there anything in the chests?
In the chests?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, there is stuff in the chests.
Which ones?
There's a couple that have food. There's a couple that have stone, a couple that have wood, and then the one on the far left end has some like random miscellaneous stuff.
Take this.
I made a bunch of little cooking fires over here.
It's very far. Okay. Let's see. Put all your stuff in here now.
Okay.
There's plenty of chests.
I got core wood,
Nice.
which core wood is needed to make a bunch of fucking stuff over here. Here, come over here and grab these recipes too.
Okay, cool. Coming. Where are they at?
Right down here. This thick wood down here.
Core wood.
Coal wood, then we can make our fine wood bows. Which we definitely need before we can kill the elder, but we'll get there. Basic wood.
This game's so relaxing.
It is. Just exploring and cutting down trees, building stuff. I'm getting lots of core wood here too. The only we unfortunately can't get any fine wood until we get copper or we get bronze axes. Really, like at any major respect. And my axe broke.
It looks so cool. It's like under construction.
Yeah, it's like we have a little lumber camp, you know, and then I'm off over here cutting down the trees, and you're using the cut trees to, you know, build the base. And
Where are you putting the lumber?
in the chests. It's in the first chest, like right inside the door to the left.
I need to frame this out.
Yeah. I guess people are talking a lot about, like, I don't know. I'm not sure what's going to happen with, like, Trump and all that shit lately with, like, the debates, because, like, he's still polling, like, really, really high. But also, like, there's just a lot of disbelief, I guess. Like, people who support Trump still don't believe that he's done anything wrong. And no matter what, like, evidence is, like, brought forth, they're just like, oh, it's not real. It's not, it's like, it's fake or whatever. It's not, like, Trump doesn't do anything wrong. He's not a criminal. It's just the government lying about it. So the guy can get away with doing whatever he wants. Been hearing about it a lot lately.
Right.
It's like he's got to do things legally, but he's hoping that his mob of supporters will protect him and save him.
Was
as long as he's got it
about him?
He was. I mean, he was definitely talking shit about his supporters. You know, like, oh, they're just a bunch of, you know, like, uneducated, like, hillbillies. It's like, well, they are, but maybe not. Maybe don't call them uneducated hillbillies.
Yeah, that'd probably be in your best.
But it doesn't
interest.
matter because they don't care. They love the guy. They're like, oh, it's just Trump. He's just joking. You know, he's just a funny guy. You know, he's not making fun of me. They truly believe that he is like the savior. There was some guy who was like trolling them. Like he dressed up in like MAGA clothes and stuff and went to a rally and was like asking all these like really dumb questions that like anyone who was not a Trump supporter would be like, oh, okay, he's trying to fucking troll me. But they were like answering it like he was being honest, which is funny. It was really funny to watch. him coming up and being like, yeah, like I heard like that is like, so Trump declassified the documents. Yeah, he already declassified I heard that the Democrats planted the same documents that he declassified in Mar-a-Lago, and that's what they're trying to get him on right now. And he's like, I'd believe that, and they're like, like that sounds legit to me, like, yeah, you can't trust those guys. It's like, but if he already declassified everything, then he wouldn't be in court right now because he's in trouble for having classified documents. So if he had, they got him on tape saying like, oh, if these things were declassified, I'd be good, but I didn't declassify them while I was president. So, and now I can't. So you want to look at them? He's like, oh, I'm crime man, and I do crimes and stuff, and I'm doing all kinds of illegal things, but also like I'm not a criminal. It's like, it's just amazing. People that have that kind of charisma can just get people with low intelligence to just like worship them. These poor people, I mean, all these people like dressed up in MAGA gear and stuff. It's like, how much money have you given to this man? How much of your personal income have you given to Donald Trump? Like, that is the reason why he is so successful, is because of people like you giving him money. And you should not give him, it's like, do not feed the bears. Like, they need to have a sign like that for like Donald Trump, like MAGA fans. Like, don't give him your money. Just please don't give him your money, because he doesn't need it. Like, he's rich, right? He doesn't need your money. Oh, but he does need your money, because he's actually not that rich. And he's in debt for a lot of money because, he lies a lot. So he owes a lot of people money. He owes a lot of lawyers a lot of money. There's a whole thing that was I saw about that too, about like all of his lawyer fee, like, because I feel like people get bogged down too, and they don't exactly understand like all of the charges or the indictments, and they're like, oh, well, they're just going after Trump because they don't like him. It's like, no, he's done lots of criminal stuff. Like, he's a criminal. The reason that he has so many indictments against him is that he is a criminal. And if people weren't so stupid, they would just be like, oh yeah, clearly this guy should not be running for president, and he wouldn't even have a following anymore. But like, people don't, because they're like, oh, he's an outsider, and he's not like your typical Democrat or Republican. He's different. He's a populist and stuff. Like, I had an argument today on Facebook with a guy who was trying to tell me that Trump was a populist, and I was like, Trump is not a populist.
What does
like,
that
maybe
mean?
it means he cares about like workers' rights, and like populism is like focusing on working class people over business owners. And I was like, Trump does not give a fuck about working class people. Like, Trump's only thing that he really did that he said he would do is his tax cut, which like 86% of his tax cut went to the top 1%. Like, most of the people that got the tax, everyone got a little tax cut, because he retorted by saying like, oh, well, everyone benefited from that tax cut. I said, no, I mean, sure, poor people got a little money, but like, the problem from all that is that the rich people got to keep a ton of money and didn't have to pay hardly any taxes. So Trump's presidency increased the national deficit by like 25%, which is like trillions of dollars, because he didn't increase tax revenue, because he cut taxes. The problem with every Republican presidency has increased the tax deficit, because in order to pay the deficit off, you have to collect more taxes to pay off the deficit. But every Republican runs on cutting taxes. So when you run on cutting taxes, you're not going to make any revenue.
Right.
So he actually increased, and with COVID too, he, like, a lot of people blame COVID for it, but I'm like, he would have increased the budget anyway. Like, that's just how it goes with Republicans. They cut taxes on the wealthy, and the wealthy are the ones that should be paying most of the taxes. And then when you cut taxes for the poor people too, then I make the poor people happy too, because look at me, like, I'm saving you money. Here's another $800 for the year. Like, I added onto your, like, whatever your, when you file your taxes, you get an extra, like, couple $100 back. There's your tax break. But now, Jeff Bezos, he doesn't have to pay taxes, so he makes, like, billions more. And same thing with Elon Musk and all these other large companies. They make billions of dollars more. Like, it really benefits them more than it benefits you. In that sense, which he did concede. He was like, that's fair. And I mentioned, like, that, like, Biden, everyone likes to complain about Biden with the open border and shit. And I'm like, but Biden kept all of Trump's border policies from the COVID pandemic active until, like, 4 months ago. So the first 2 years of his presidency, he had the exact same border control measures that Trump did. So why are you angry about the open border? That's, if anything, that means that Trump failed, because Trump was the one that set up those initial policies that Biden is now still following. But they're not. They're angry at Biden. They're angry at the Democrats. They're angry at everyone for, all these damn liberals letting all these, foreigners into the country and ruining our country and all that kind of stuff. Same talking points and everything. It's like, Trump didn't really do a whole lot when he was president. Like, the only thing he really accomplished that he said he was going to was his tax bill, which mostly went to the rich people. So, like, he really didn't do anything. Jobs were outsourced, net outsourced. Like, 380,000 jobs left, the manufacturing jobs left the United States while he was president, even though he promised that he was going to bring manufacturing back to the United States. Whereas Biden has actually brought back about 250,000 jobs in the manufacturing sector because he was like, well, what did Biden do? And then I just like, okay, I'm going to do a quick Google search here, because I know he's done some decent stuff, but, like, he hasn't been great. But that's one of the things, is that employment now is, like, unemployment is lower than it has ever been in like a U.S. history, which I still don't think is a good thing. Like, how well do the jobs pay? Like, it doesn't matter if fewer people are unemployed, but, like, how much are people getting paid for the jobs they're working? Not much more than they were at the start of the pandemic. So it's not really a big win, but it is a win to people who think it's a win. Like, conservatives love to see that, unemployment's low. That means that we must be doing really well, because
Right.
everybody's working. Oh boy.
Like they should be.
Yeah, as they should be, making minimum wage and stuff, like working 3 jobs, exactly as they should be.
Let's go to bed.
Yeah, go to bed. So let's see here. That's outside here. You run out here. And I gotta run to the bathroom real quick.
Okay, cool.
Take a little breaky break. Oh, it's foggy. Yeah, this little lumber mining camp that we have set up here is looking pretty nice, actually. You're quite efficient.
What up, Lost Cows?
Yeah, right?
Somebody join in the stream.
Hell yeah, man.
Oh, I was a little late on
So,
this reply.
I'll be right back here.
Lost Cows, what's going on, man? Fuck, I'm so upset that I missed your chat. When did you send this? Okay. Making a weird tower base. It's interesting looking for sure. Oh, I forgot to repair my stuff. Damn, I'm so upset that I didn't see Lost Kel's message.
I am back.
I had one of my old viewers join the stream.
Hell yeah, man. That is awesome. It's so adorable.
I missed them. They were my friends for a long time.
Yeah. Flint. Here, let me see. From here, I can actually do that. I might run down and try to grab an improvement for our workbench so that we can improve our leather armor.
I'm about ready to make this our homestead.
Right? Me too. It's in a great location. And once we do get copper and bronze and stuff, we have plenty of like fine wood to chop around here to make our fine wood bows, which I'd say that's like our main goal, is to get fine wood bows and a bunch of fire arrows and try to kill the elder. I don't know where he is though. I haven't found where the elder is. Which, in order to figure out that, we'll have to explore and find in the Black Forest, there are little markers, like where there's little collections of stones with chests and gray dwarves around them.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes there's a little marker that tells you where the elder is located.
Well, that's super helpful.
Mm-hmm. Fuck you, neck. 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 Lots of food, though. Bye, neck. Bye, neck. I need 10 flint. How many do I have? 2. Oh my god, there's more necks.
Too many necks.
Too many necks. Fortunately, their meat is actually pretty decent early on. It's not great, but it's not terrible either.
It's not the worst.
Nah. Doesn't give you. It gives you some health. It gives you some stamina. When you combine it with like deer meat and boar meat, it's actually pretty decent. You get like 100 health and like about 100 stamina. One more. There's the flint. All right, cool. Good. Coming back. I want to say this is going to be lumber camp.
Yeah, I need to mark this on my map.
Yeah, I marked that on my map. Lumber camp.
Lumber camp.
Lumber camp. Because there'd be lots of lumber around here. And there is a troll down around here too. He's near the water though. With this thing, we might be able to actually kill him and fuck him up pretty good. All right. Making my improvement. Yeah, chopping block. Now we got a level 2. Now we can repair all our leather gear. Hell yeah. Yeah, the main teleporter that we could probably set up is between here and the main base, like way back there. Once we do get enough fancy wood, I always say fancy wood. I should have called it fancy wood instead of fine wood. Fancy wood sounds better than fine wood. I certainly want fancy wood more than fine wood. Like, well, why is it fancy? Yeah, it's a pretty good little outcropping here too, because we have let's see, the copper is just over the hill here, so I'll start clearing away towards that new copper deposits that we found over here. There's 2 of them near here, so really should be like this should be like a what's it called in Age of Empires? It's like a drop-off point, I guess.
A drop point?
Like a material drop-off, because like there's some civilizations in game, a storehouse I think is what they called it, but in some civilizations there's only one building that can only hold one kind of resource, like wood or stone or like ore or whatever, and then there's other civilizations that had like one store that could hold all of them. So you didn't have to spend as many resources on like setup in order to actually mine everything. You just build one building and then have all your villagers drop off all the resources to that one building instead of having 3 separate buildings.
Okay.
Which I like. Usually I like better, because I was like, oh, that makes more sense. Like Age of Mythology, you got ox carts, which ox carts were like little mobile drop-off points for food, gold, and wood. So no matter, so you could kind of have your villagers be very mobile and like mine all of one resource and then move to a different one, and then just move the collection zone with the workers, so you didn't have to rebuild another building.
Okay.
Which is pretty cool. I did like that. That's why I like Thor. Thor was my favorite god of all the major gods, because he also had really strong dwarves. There were regular gatherers and dwarves. Dwarves were better at gathering gold and worse at gathering food and wood, and gatherers were better at gathering food and wood and worse at gathering gold. But Thor's dwarves were as good as gatherers at gathering food and wood, and even better at gathering gold than regular dwarves. So like, all I needed was dwarves. I didn't have to have any gatherers at all. And gatherers cost food to train, and dwarves cost a lesser amount of gold for Thor to train. So like, your villagers cost like 30% less, so you got like a little discount, but they were still good at making all the resources, plus better at making gold, which you needed to train more dwarves. So I was like, oh, cool. So I just start off all my dwarves on gold, use them to make more dwarves, to gather food, to get me to age up and all that stuff. And I was like, I had a whole economy idea and stuff figured out for playing dwarf only mode.
Sounds sick.
And they're fast. Dwarves are apparently really quick. You'd probably like Age of Mythology. That was a good game.
You wouldn't have thunk.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, guess
The only problem
what?
with Thor is that he's got a great economy, but he doesn't really have that
Old
great of
viewers
military.
joined.
The what?
I just didn't see it in the chat, so unfortunately I missed it.
Oh, okay. Damn.
I was talking to Morgan.
Mm-hmm. She's sending you messages in your chat, is she?
No, it was just somebody else, another viewer.
Some dude listening who played Age of Mythology and was like, oh my god, somebody else is talking about Age of Mythology. Nobody ever plays that game. I haven't heard anyone talk about that game in years. They're supposed to be, I thought they did like a reboot for the game, like a remastered version of the game on Steam.
Possibly.
But it was a good game.
Was it?
Campaign was stellar. Like one of the best campaigns in a real-time strategy game that I've ever played in my life. Great lore. Like it was continuous, or the continuity was really good. It had some like aspects of mythology into it too. Like it wasn't perfectly accurate when it came to Norse, Greek, and Egyptian mythology, but it like got all the main points pretty well. Like for a video game, they did pretty well. A lot of people were like, "Oh, this and that. It's a little inaccurate." With it's like, yeah, I mean, it's a video game. Like, it's pretty accurate for a video game. Because there's like for all the units, you could like click on the unit, and then click on a little like history book button, like a book button, and then it would like give you like lore based on like whatever civilization you were playing for, either the Egyptians, the Norse, or the Greek, and it would like tell you like the backstory of whatever you were playing. Like, oh, you're playing like this is, you're like looking at a Medusa character, which like Medusae are like a unit that you can train that have like a special ability that has like a cooldown where if any like non-hero character, they turn to stone and kill instantly. So like they're very strong. They're also very expensive, but you use them against like very strong myth units, because like you have human units, myth units, and heroic units. Kind of like, and all the characters in the game, all the different like units have like there's like a wheel, like a circular wheel of like countering, where like this unit counters this unit that counters this unit that counters the first unit again.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no OP units. There's always a counter to every unit, or like everything that your opponent throws at you, you could make up a composition of other units that counter them. So, but against big myth units and strong like human units, you can use Medusae to like turn them to stone and kill them instantly.
Oh, that's
so nice. You don't gotta kill them, because myth units do a lot of damage to humans. Humans do damage to heroes, and heroes do damage to myth units, which kind of makes sense. Like your heroes are really good at kill. Like and every civilization has different hero units. Like Greeks have named heroes where you can only have one of each one, but they're really strong. Egyptians have priests and pharaohs, which are ranged and like throw projectiles at enemies, doing extra damage to myth units. And then Norse units, they have their only one heroic unit, the Hessier, which is like this dude with really fast guy with an axe that does good damage to myth units. But Loki, it's the only reason why I don't like Thor. Thor is really, really strong and balanced, But Loki is just kind of crazy and chaotic, and like his Hessiers have a chance to, whenever they're in combat, to summon a random myth unit. So like if you just make a bunch of Hessiers and send them into combat, then you can suddenly like summon random myth units everywhere up to like wherever you're at.
Oh,
And
okay.
so like so you get free units sometimes, which like chaos. And he's the only. The way that it works is that each age that you level up, you get a choice between two different minor gods, and that minor god choice affects what mythic unit you can train. Like for Thor, you either get a choice between this guy or this guy, and if you pick this one gives you this unit and this god power and these techs that you can get, and the other one gives you different techs and different units and different things, but you don't get the other. But like if you pick one, then you forego the others. So you have to choose kind of how you want to build your army. Like, oh, do you want a ranged myth unit, or do you want a melee myth unit, or do you want a god power that like makes your units get more armor, or do you want them to like restore health, or like, so you can kind of tailor how you want your final end game army to operate based on what gods you pick. And Loki is the only guy of the Norse who can pick Hel. In the new movies and stuff, it's Hela, but it's Hel technically is the daughter of Loki, who is like, she's like really stupid. She gives you like all of the giants as myth units, and like normally each minor god gives you like one myth unit that you can train, but Hel gives you 3. You can make fire giants, mountain giants, and frost giants when you pick her. And your god power lets you summon the Nidhogg, this giant like moose antlered dragon that's like a flying unit, which there are like hardly any flying units in the game.
Oh fuck! I died
Oh no, where'd you die?
in the tower base.
Oh wow, what'd you do?
Jump from one level to the next.
Oh, you had no health?
Yeah.
Whoops. It's almost nighttime anyway, so grab your stuff and we can go to sleep. I want to make sure that I have this. Yeah, this is the copper. So this is the next copper deposit here. Okay, good. Make a little pathway from here.
Oh, I have 12 copper ore. That's why.
You're over encumbered.
I was like, why can't I hold much wood?
You only have 300 carry weight. That's not very. We're used to having 650.
Yeah.
Like, that's a lot more than like. So many times playing this game now, I'm like, I really wish that we had the mods back on. Like, I miss the mods so much.
Me do.
But also, it feels really good, like when we do it and we accomplish it without the mods.
It does feel kind of good.
Kind of good. It would be nice to have the mods still, but it still feels good.
That's good.
More water and turn on the dab rig. I haven't taken a dab in 6 hours. So I can take another dab.
Need food. bedtime.
Yeah, it's bedtime. I would say so. It's cold out. Oh no.
Okie dokie. Another day.
Okay.
Yeah, just looking at this cruise stuff, I'm like, cruises are insane. Like, if we can accomplish this, just imagine how easy it would be to solve world hunger. Like, you can create a week-long trip where where the kitchen has $1 million budget and where everyone's every need is met, but we can't feed the world. Like, come on now. There are homeless people that exist. Like, come on. Aliens are looking. That is where aliens look at humans and are like, this species has failed because they can do this, but they can't do that. Like, what the fuck is wrong with people? Like, why is it that you have homeless people, but you have the Caribbean cruise line and have solved all of these numerous problems on board a ship? This gigantic fucking ship where 6,500 people can be just taken on the cruise of this luxury cruise of their lifetime, and like give them all these luxuries, but you can't solve world hunger. Like, you can't solve world poverty. You can't colonize like the moon. Like, what the fuck's wrong with you people? The problem is the rich people. The problem is Elon Musk, and I refuse to admit that it's otherwise.
You really don't like Elon Musk, huh?
I don't like any rich people. Any rich people in general. Like, if you got money, if you have money, then you're not using it the right way, in my mind. You're like, but what happens when we become rich? Like, well, I will never become rich. I have sworn against becoming rich. If I ever find myself having too much money, I will give it away. And then I won't have the money anymore. So I won't be rich. I will make sure that I have enough for what I need and what I want. Like, what is reasonable. But I will never hoard wealth. Because that is disgusting to me. Hoarding wealth is unnecessary.
I agree.
But also, I'm not rich. So maybe once I became rich, I would think differently. But I really don't think so. I'd be the guy that would go in there and, like, shake everything up. Come into the country club and be like, oh, what would happen if I just burned this stack of money? And just set like a handful of money on fire, and everybody just freaks the fuck out. They're like, what? What are you doing? Like, what? It's just money. Y'all are rich beyond belief. Why the fuck do you care? Well, you're showing disrespect to the money.
Fuck the money.
The karma gods of the money won't like that. And you're gonna make me unlucky. My blackjack hand is gonna suffer because of this. It's that I've discovered that there's like a certain disdain for like all poor people or working class people by like certain rich elites, which is unfortunate. People that, you know, just kind of look down upon working class people and people who like work for a living. Amongst politicians and people who like earn money passively without doing anything for it, like Donald Trump. Donald Trump doesn't do anything. He hasn't had a job his entire life. Like, he doesn't know what work. He doesn't know the meaning of work. Work to him is different than work is to us. Work to him is walking around and kind of grunting and like telling people what he wants them to do. That's like work to him. Is like, oh, I'm making other people do their job. Work to me is like going to a place and then getting stuff done. I gotta move product. I gotta, sanitize this tank. I gotta fill these kegs. I gotta clean the tank after I finish emptying the tank of and filling kegs with it. Move this from here to here. Talk to these customers. Like, he doesn't have to do any of that shit. All he's got to do is make people think that he's rich. As long as people think that he's rich, but also he needs money. Very important to know that he needs money. Donate to his campaign. Which, that's the true genius of Donald Trump, is like his ability to, at the same time as being rich, he also needs your money. And gets hundreds of millions of dollars a year from poor, mostly poor, like blue collar workers, like who are conservatives who support his campaign and want him to do the things that he does, and so they give him money. It's like, but if he's rich, then why does he need you to give him money? Like, doesn't he have his own money? I thought he was rich. Well, we can't let those filthy Democrats win. So I have to give him my money to help speed things along. It's like, well, you don't think that maybe he's taking advantage of you a little bit? Like, maybe he doesn't really need your money, but he'll take it if you're giving it to him for free because you are? Like, I would. If I was him and I was, I had no moral compass, I'd be like, sure. Like, people are like, somebody's willing to give me money for free? Sure. I'll take it. Because there was this whole conspiracy, or not conspiracy, but there was this whole, like, the courts came after him for some stuff, and, like, a bunch of people didn't like it, his fault, but it's like, all the allegations were like, oh, it's a money laundering scheme. Like, you start lawsuits that are frivolous, and that won't work, and then you talk about those lawsuits on your platforms to your fans, and then ask them for money to fund the lawsuits so that you can make money, pay the lawyers, and then take out more lawsuits and do more lawsuits against people. And so he's like, because people are now complaining that, like, oh, well, it's Biden and the Democrats are like hijacking the judicial system to like target Trump. And it's like, Trump was doing that before they were. Trump was abusing the judicial system like years ago. And now it's finally coming back to bite him in the ass, and he doesn't like it anymore. Now he's suddenly like, oh, it's not fair, and all this other, like, oh, you can't do that. And it's not, this is wrong. It's like, well, you were misusing the system for decades now. Like, why are you getting pissed that now it's being used against you the same way you were using it before? Like, that's hypocrisy. You can't do that. His abuse of the same systems that made him wealthy, basically, now is being garnered and now is being levied against him. And he doesn't appreciate it. Like, well, I could see why you wouldn't. Like, you're losing money. I get it. But, like, you were doing the same fucking thing. Frivolous lawsuits, and then knowing that anyone who opposed you would... Because in the United States, for some reason, I learned this too, that in England, let's say, if you have a lawsuit and you win, you don't have to pay your lawyers. The loser has to pay. In the United States, whether you win or lose, both sides have to pay for their own lawyers. So, which discourages people who are poor from from filing lawsuits against their employers, because even if you win, you still have to pay your lawyer. Which, depending on how long the case goes for, could be tens of thousands of dollars, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars. That you have to, you won the case, but okay, you still owe all this money to your lawyer, and you might not be able to afford it. Whereas in England, it's not like that. If you win the case, you don't have to pay your lawyer, because the loser pays your lawyer.
Right. Okay.
Which I like that system way better. Because then, okay, so in our system, people who have money win. Because why does Trump care if he drags out a legal case for months and months and months and months? And now this, small business that he took to court can't afford the legal fees and has to go bankrupt, declare bankruptcy. And now he won. Even though they might have won the legal case, he still won because he forced him out of business.
Yeah, that's not cool.
Same thing happens with all kinds of larger corporations and shit, where they're like, oh yeah, who cares? Like I have a team of lawyers that are on my payroll and that I, deduct taxes from. And I pay for part of them, but taxes cover the rest because I can just, write it off. It's a business expense. That's why I will never take the side of a rich person against a poor person, pretty much. It's very rare that I will see eye to eye with a rich person on anything, because if you have lots of money, you are by default you have a leg up. In our legal system, you have a leg up on people that don't have money.
Right.
Not to say that I would ever, testify against you in a court of law, People would pull up these sound bites and be like, "Oh, see, this guy, he seems to really not like rich people except for his friends. See, when it comes to his friends, he thinks, oh, Alan's a great guy. Yeah, he would never do anything wrong. Never, nothing, not never. He's always been fair, a fair landlord and a fair employer." And an amazing friend, a good Christian. Went to church every Sunday. I can testify to that fact. We went to church together.
Okay, I'm gonna put a roof on this bitch, and then this is our living quarters.
Yeah. Hell yeah, man! So I'm a good liar when it comes to pretending to be Christian and stuff. I know all the words,
Mm-hmm.
And they would never know. They're like, oh yeah, I went to church and I heard something about. He said something about the Nicene Creed, and yeah, he gave me a couple words that sounded kind of Bible-y, and yeah, he sounds legit. I trust this guy. That's what I was in the trenches, man. Back in the day, I went to Lutheran school. I went to Lutheran private school, and I had to memorize Bible verses, man. I had to read the Bible. Ooh.
To do the Bible.
I was so very happy when my parents decided to send me to public school, because I was like, I don't have to memorize. I remember asking, I was like, so I don't have to memorize Bible verses anymore? And then my parents were like, no, son, you don't. I was like, oh,
thank
good.
Thank
good.
God.
That shit was stupid. I hated memorizing Bible verses. Such a waste of time. I do remember, though, the shortest verse in the Bible is 2 words. Jesus wept. That is the shortest verse in the Bible, is Jesus wept.
Let's see.
So I know that for any trivia or whatever about the Bible. They're like, what is the shortest verse in the Bible? A bunch of agnostics and atheists would be like, I don't fucking know, man. They'd be like, I got this one. It's like one of those daily double, you write in the answer questions, and I'm like, Jesus wept. Drop the pen. And be like, right here, I got it.
Whoa.
There's a bunch of Christians that probably don't fucking know that shit. That'd be the best thing ever if that was the final the final Jeopardy question, and then I was the only person that got it right. And there was some somebody who was should clearly know what was in the Bible, and they didn't, a reverend or some shit. They're like, oh, it's this one, I think. It's like, no. Back in the day, they'd be like, it's 2 words. 2 words. Mr. Lieberg has the points here. Jesus wept.
Did he? Did he not?
Like, he did, in fact. Jesus wept, which is meant to show how Jesus could be human, like, other people who weren't the Son of God, which, although we're all his children, too, that's another thing, too, is that, like, Cope and I have talked about that, where he's like, I was like, like, all of us are the children of God, but Jesus is the only Son of God, but also he is God, because the Trinity is the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. So Jesus technically is God, as God is God, and the Holy Spirit is God. But at the same time, he's also the Son of God. But we're also the children of God, too. So in his eyes, we're a bunch of girls. Which, that was a whole bit from Bo Burnham had a whole bit on that. He's like, it says in the Bible that you sent your one and only son to die for us, your only son. But at the same time, we're all your children. So in your eyes, we're a bunch of girls. It's like, so help us as we struggle with the temptations of lesbianism. Amen. Because we're all girls, loving on the girls, except Jesus. So there's a bunch of lesbians. That's all we are, is a bunch of lesbians. Some girls with different parts than others, but it's all according to God's plan. So who are we to judge? I can turn the rhetoric on them as fast as anybody else. Like, it's all a part of God's plan. Who are we to judge? The Bible tells us to not judge, that God is the only true judge and the end of all things. So why would we judge? And to anyone who would, how dare you?
Don't do it.
Yeah, don't do it. Don't do it, man. What are you, Satan? What are you, the devil? You judging me? God says only he is the judge.
Oh my gosh. This stream got super political.
Yeah, and then holy condemnation. I come to you on the streets of this here city.
Of damnation.
Of damnation. To read the words of our Lord, who says in verse 5 that he sent his only son to die on the cross for all of our sins. And who amongst us is free of sin, who will cast the first stone upon the other sinners of this world?
Sin.
Yeah. It's all about knowing the right words. Like,
Sin.
you could bring a crowd to a mob and knowing the right words, especially Christians. All I need is the right amount of inspiration.
Inspiration.
Inspiration comes from the Lord on high. Soon the miracles will start coming faster and faster. And the people that are like, oh, the Reformation is at hand, or whatever the fuck, the reclamation, or the rejuvenation, or whatever the fuck yeah. What do they call it? When people get fucking just airlifted into heaven. God comes to earth in the second coming of Jesus, and he's like, all Christians. Yeah, the rapture. He's like, snaps his fingers, boom, everyone who's Christian is gone. Is that how it is, or is it like a big theatrical performance, or like, how does it go? Because if that's true, then people who are driving like in their cars, suddenly their cars are empty, and then accidents abound, and people die, infrastructure is destroyed. That's not godly. That's not what Jesus would want. So like, is it at church, like on Sunday during a specific time of the day, like between 9:30 and 11:30 when mass is going on in the morning. And then that's different for different denominations. Like sometimes, what if it's at midnight mass? And for the Catholics or whatever the fuck. 'Cause Catholics are apparently the most right of all the Christians. So like maybe it's during like midnight mass on Christmas Eve or some shit, and like then what happens? Then everybody who's in bed, they just evaporate, and then like a spouse is left behind, and then what happens? Like because your wife disappears, and then you're just left alone in bed. You wake up and your wife's not there, and you're like, what the fuck? Because like all the true Christians leave, and then everyone who thought they were Christian who isn't deny it and end up becoming like, people who push against it because they're like, well, I didn't get raptured, so clearly, since I'm a real Christian, this is all fake. And everyone just disappeared. The government just like disappeared a bunch of people.
No.
I could see that being a thing.
Not that
I could totally see a bunch of fucking like mega pastors and shit like denying that the rapture occurred and being like, oh no, God's coming again, he's gonna come get the rest of us. It's like I think y'all aren't Christian is the main problem. That the reason why he didn't come get you the first time around. Like I know I'm not Christian anymore, but like you're pretending, which is worse. God hates that even more. Like I could at least like come around to it and be like, oh well, clearly the evidence now is pretty, demonstrably true that I was wrong. Whoops, my bad.
Oops.
Because like there are multiple things in Revelations where it's like, oh, even if you're not in the first wave, you can be in the second wave.
I feel like we should be able to sleep here now. Come to the new sleeping quarters.
Oh, come to the new sleeping quarters.
We should be able to sleep in here.
Oh, fancy, a little hutch.
This is our sleeping quarters.
Yeah, it's like a little log cabin out in the woods, a little rental space with no fireplace. Fireplace?
We have a fireplace.
Oh, we can sleep here. That's pretty cool. Awesome.
It's because there's a fire nearby.
Nice. Hunting after swift deer. That's what I always long for. Hunting swift deer. Alright. Let's see. I'm going to go do a dab real quick, and then I'll be right back. And then maybe we can go and check out some of these dungeons.
Yes.
And start trying to get some Certling cores so we can start smelting some of this ore. Because we have like 32 ore.
Yes.
Then we can make a forge.
This game is so much fun for me. I'm just constantly building stuff. It's so cool. Damn it, I died. You okay?
Goodness me. Alright. Say, where are you? Oh, you're over here. You're on top of me. So I'm gonna drop off my wood. I do love it though. You're like, oh, I'm gonna make it into like this. I'm gonna make it into like a lodge, like a snow skiing resort with no snow.
I wanted to make it unique.
Which is cool. Yeah, it does look unique. There's so much over here that I haven't even looked at yet. Because being by yourself in the Black Forest is pretty spooky, even without all the mods and like extra enemies and shit. Like, you get overwhelmed fast. Yeah, what was I looking at today on YouTube? I'm like, what was I looking at? Oh yeah, I was looking at these scissors, these Japanese hair shears, like hair scissors, that are $2,000 a pair.
And you want a pair?
But like, so like, there's a hairdresser that they interviewed in Japan, in Kyoto, who only uses their scissors, and she has 4 pair. So she's like, I spent about $10,000 on these 4 pairs of scissors that I have ready in her like little work belt she has.
Mm-hmm.
But each of them are for a different style of cut. And but yeah, she's like, she's had them for 4 years, and she sharpened them 1 time.
Jeez.
And she said like about 6 months ago she sharpened them, so that she went for 3.5 years without having to sharpen the scissors. But it's because they designed one of the blades to like wrap around the other one, so that it's only contacting the other blade at one point the entire way down. So it lets you cut very precisely, because wherever it's cutting to, like wherever the position on the blade that it's cutting at is where it's going to cut. Whereas some scissors are just kind of pressed up against each other, kind of, the blades are. And they're kind of like wedges more than cutting anything. That was cool. I like seeing how expensive stuff like that is made. Like really cool artisanal stuff. Because like there's lots of work that goes into making one of those 1 pair of scissors, and they're really pretty. Like they will hand tailor the handles, like the handle holes to like the hand of the person that's going to be cutting with them.
Really?
So they'll take your your finger measurements, and then they'll incorporate it so that when you use it, it fits perfectly.
Interesting.
So you don't get any blisters from using it. She's like, I can cut hair for 12 hours and not get any blisters because these scissors perfectly fit to my hands. It's like, and she can cut, and she has a very particular like style of how she cuts hair, I guess, like the way that she holds the scissors. So she told them her custom measurements, and they did it, and it works perfectly, and she loves them. She's like, totally worth it. Totally worth it.
Could you imagine being like
$10,000 for 4 pairs of scissors? But they're really, really, really nice scissors. Like the best in the world. So when you get your hair cut by her, you know everywhere that she cuts, she means to cut there. And it's not like, whoops, the scissors cut that. Basic scissors are honestly
Have you gone in the base yet?
The what?
Have you gone in and around the base yet?
See, I haven't been upstairs yet. I gotta go upstairs. Are you done?
Kind of. I'm about to close it
For
all
now.
up.
Yeah, for now. until later. It looks sweet. Looks like the start of like an Ewok village. It's gonna stretch into the trees.
The thing is I've seen people make even better, but they somehow know how to make the plans a lot easier. Like they actually lay it out.
I mean, this is fucking nice. This is a height up here.
Yeah, you can fight.
Yeah. A troll's like way down there. But let's see, we don't have much stone though, unfortunately. We have to keep mining. Because then we could make a little perimeter wall of raised stone around it, and then that would keep trolls out. Oh, with the hoe. Just raise about 4. Trolls can't jump out because trolls can't jump. And they can't attack it because it doesn't have health. Yeah, that's a mighty fine conversion.
I just need to put a roof on it, but it's too tall.
It's big. Yeah, it's big. Use the
I have to break this. I have to break
use
it
the
down.
core wood to make like a big support structure in the middle.
I should have, but I'm gonna just close it up and make it not as tall.
Oh shit, there's a troll. You see him? Oh, he's got a fucking tree too. That motherfucker. Do you see the troll over?
No, I'm looking towards you.
He's like to the left of me, and he's in the trees. I don't think he's gonna come over here. So he's like here on the map. If you see my little blue circle, that's where he is. Right over there.
Oh, yep. Yep.
And he's got a tree too. So he's packing.
Trying to go fight him?
I mean, we got crude bows. We do have fire arrows, which are good. But, I mean, I don't know if we can... Maybe together we could? Just gotta kite him. Lots of berries. Honey. Yeah, maybe we could. He's pretty far away, though. Spooky. I don't like it.
Whatever, I'm over this. Let's do some shit.
Well, let's see.
Let's go do some dungeons. Let me go get my robe.
Oh, shit. Eikthier. Oops. Let me check it out. Oh yeah. Clean. Also open, spacious. Well contrived. Multiple different levels too. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That is gorgeous. Gorgeous. Just dropped it. It's beautiful. Beautiful and functional.
Do you want to play lag or something?
League?
Yeah.
TFT? Or ARAM?
Anything.
Sure. Save the world. Then we log out. That was good. That was real good.
We have some cool bases.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for joining the stream, everyone. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.